youth, from mental health and peer pressure to faith, identity, and the power of social media. No topic is off limits. Join Sumaya every Wednesday evening from 6 to 7 p.m. on Radio Ansaar for real talk where your voice matters. It's your space, your story, your platform. Real talk, real issues, real youth. Only on Radio Ansaar.
If you wanna look amazing, lady, you know what you gotta do right now. Cover up your beauty for the Almighty. You do all this for your deen, yeah. Sacrifice is only temporary. You know what you gotta do right now. Your hijab is your crown, we all see, and you wear it to serve Ilahi. Hijab, bigo, hijab, bigo, hijab, bigo. You wear it for Allah. Hijab, bigo, hijab, bigo, hijab, bigo. You wear it for Allah. She's independent, this hijab is on deen. She knows what she wants, she is a queen. She don't follow trends in magazines. Quran and Sunnah is a daily routine. If you wanna look amazing, lady, you know what you gotta do right now. Cover up your beauty for the Almighty. You do all this for your deen, yeah. Sacrifice is only temporary. You know what you gotta do right now. Your hijab is your crown, we all see, and you wear it to serve Ilahi. Hijab, bigo, hijab, bigo, hijab, bigo. You wear it for Allah. Hijab, bigo, hijab, bigo, hijab.
Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Youth Frequency. Yes, it's windy outside, but alhamdulillah, everyone is safe. Well, there's so much happening in South Africa right now. Should we be so happy that we're partaking in the soccer, or should we be so sad about what's happening with all the foreigners? Strikes and riots and things around the world. Quite depressing, but this is a harsh reality. You know, what's up, South Africa? The space where we talk real issues, that's Youth Frequency. Real voices and real experiences of young people today. Today we are connecting the past and the present from June 16th, 1976. As you know, on June 16th, it's a public holiday, and it is June 16th. So when you young people stood up against unfair education laws, today's classrooms, townships, suburbs, and campus, you know, so back then, students raised their voices against inequality and so much more in education. So today we're asking, has anything really changed? We're talking pressure in schools, inequality, lack of resources, teacher challenges, tertiary challenges at institutions, mental health, discipline, and whether today's youth still have the power in the education system, or if they still being ignored in different ways. So this is not history class, guys. This is real life, real schools, real South African youth. So before we link up with our panel, Jamie and Michelle, we're going to take a short ad break.
This is Real Talk, Real Issues, Real Youth, exclusive to Radio Ansaar with Sumaya Khan.
Welcome to Simplex Radio. Visit our showroom for the full range of car audio. Our TV department carries top brands with quality LED panels, full HD to Ultra HD, and now the experience of Super Ultra HD. Visit our theater rooms and transform your home with brands like Onkyo, Integra, Denon, Boston Acoustics, Yamaha, and more for quality audio visual experience. Now available, full range of home appliances. A one-stop shopping experience. Call 031-306-4029 or Kenilworth Park, 202 Brickville Road, Overport. Simplex Radio, the name you can trust.
In South Africa, countless numbers of sick patients leave their homes at the crack of dawn to join long queues at clinics and public hospitals, many of them suffering pangs of hunger in addition to the symptoms of disease. The Al-Imdad Foundation's Slice for Life teams deliver sandwiches to these patients at more than 40 hospitals and clinics across the country. Help us to keep on relieving hunger. Donate online at alimdad.com or call 0861 786 243 for more information.
Every day, thousands go to bed hungry, but you can change that. With just 10 Rand, you can provide a loaf of bread. This bread is more than just a donation, it is a lifeline for so many families in need. Be part of the Ansaar Outreach Slice of Life drive today. Call Outreach on 031 208 1601 and make a difference, one loaf at a time.
It's our second anniversary and Dawood Mega Boutique is celebrating 2 years of quality, value and community. You're invited to join us for a wonderful, fun-filled family day in store. Bring the kids along for a day packed with exciting in-store competitions, awesome free giveaways and delicious free tasters of your absolute favorites. We're rolling out never-to-be-repeated deals across the entire store. Plus, don't miss our urgent, unmissable, hourly specials on specific items. Once that hour is up, they're gone. Get unmatched value from our premium butcher, our fresh deli, crisp fruit and veg, and of course, our massive frozen food selections. It's your complete grocery destination all under one roof. Mark your calendars, bring the whole family down and leave happy. Dawood Mega Boutique, 2 years of serving you with excellence, and we are just getting started.
اللهم انصر إخواننا المستضعفين على أرض فلسطين. اللهم انصر إخواننا المستضعفين على أرض فلسطين. اللهم حرر المسجد الأقصى من اليهود الغاصبين. اللهم انصر إخواننا المرابطين على أرض فلسطين. اللهم شد أزرهم وسدد رميهم برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم الطف بإخواننا في كل مكان يذكر فيه اسمك يا أرحم الراحمين. استنصروك يا الله فانصرهم. اللهم ارحم الضعفاء والفقراء والمساكين والأيتام والنازحين والمشردين والأسرى يا أرحم الراحمين.
اللهم أنج المستضعفين من المسلمين في فلسطين. اللهم كن لهم عونا ونصيرا. اللهم كن لإخواننا المرابطين في المسجد الأقصى. اللهم كن لهم ولا تكن عليهم. اللهم فرج همهم، نفس كربهم، داوي جرحاهم، عاف مبتلاهم، اشف مرضاهم، ارحم موتاهم، تقبل شهداءهم.
Radio Ansaar.
This is Youth Frequency, real issues, real youth, exclusive to Radio Ansaar with Sumaya Khan.
If you wanna look amazing, lady, you know what you gotta do right now. Cover up your beauty for the Almighty. You do all this for your deen. Your sacrifice is only temporary. You know what you gotta do right now. Your hijab is your crown, we all see, and you wear it to serve Ilahi. Hijab, bigo, hijab, bigo, hijab, bigo. You wear it for Allah. Hijab, bigo, hijab, bigo, hijab, bigo. You wear it for Allah. She's independent, this hijab is on deen. She knows what she wants, she is a queen. She don't follow trends in magazines. Quran and Sunnah is a daily routine. If you wanna look amazing, lady, you know what you gotta do right now. Cover up your...
Assalamu alaikum. Yes, welcome back to Youth Frequency with me, Sumaya Khan, Jamie and Michelle, who will be linking up, missing them in studio. Our topic this evening, from 1976 to now, is the youth still heard in South Africa? Well, Jamie, how are you doing?
Hi.
Okay, yeah, missing you all the way, yeah. Okay, Liam is getting ready for the comrades.
Yes. Rest now.
Okay. And how's mom doing? Where's mommy bear?
Hey, she's okay. She was but she is here. Going to.
Oh, hello. You look absolutely gorgeous on StreamYard. Do you know, on a little bit sadder note, June 16th, there's so much happening in our country right now. Is Asif going to play a video? Right, Asif is going to play a video and we'll go back to our discussion.
Since June the 16th, when South African troops and police opened fire on a peaceful school children's demonstration, the white government has presided over the largest massacre of its black population since South Africa came into existence. Hundreds of blacks have died, thousands have been wounded, but the white Prime Minister says there is no crisis. Killings started in Soweto, the huge black township outside Johannesburg. On June the 16th, Soweto's school children gathered in protest against the introduction of compulsory teaching in Afrikaans, the main dialect of the ruling white minority. They met dogs, tear gas and bullets. The schoolboy who led that day's protest was 19-year-old Tsietsi Mashinini.
All of a sudden, they just went out of their cars and came advancing towards us. The first white policeman threw a tear gas. It was the first time we saw a tear gas can. We didn't know even what it was. So when we saw it emitting smoke, we dispersed. And when we came back again. Maybe we thought they would talk to us through a loudspeaker or something like that. All of a sudden, the same policeman who threw the tear gas canister opened fire on the students. I was with Hector Peterson when he was shot. The boy was in that picture where a boy was carrying. He was the first student I saw going down. I saw him being shot on the head and he fell down. I could not believe it. I saw a boy of about 11 going down under police fire. I could not believe it. Apparently, when Hector was shot, the students ran back, and I was left with Hector and a girl. I was feeling scared, and I wanted to run away too. And this policeman was aiming his gun at Hector again, wanting to finish him off. And this girl stood in front of Hector and told the policeman in Afrikaans that skit for me, shoot for me. And the policeman deviated his aim and shot in the air. And then we took that Hector and gave him to some boys, and they took him to the car, which appeared in those pics in the UBJ bulletin.
Hector Peterson was 13 years old. Hundreds of blacks were swiftly arrested, including Mrs. Oshade Pakati, mother of 4 and national president of South Africa's YWCA.
There was so much noise the whole night, and we could hear that there was noise in the police station too. Everybody was kept moving. But
what sort of noise? What?
You know, the kind of noise that sort of...
Oh, my gosh. Ya Allah. Well, that's what happened on June 16th, 1976. How many youth actually really know what's going on? They really don't know the whole story and what it meant. You know, Michelle? Michelle, you know, for us, what do you think if the 1976 students walked into schools today? What would shock them the most? What would shock them the most current day?
I think that
even though there are current challenges in the schools, the kids are a little bit more relaxed. They may not realize it, but from back in the day, the kids then, there was corporal punishments. They were treated very differently to how the kids are treated now. So we're having more challenges coming from the kids now, whereas previously you would find that the teachers were, a lot of teachers, not all, were stricter on the children back then.
That will probably be a shock because, like, even to see the learners so relaxed, so I'm not saying all, but we're stereotyping, yeah. Disrespectful, it's like no fear.
Yes,
Jamie.
yes.
I'm not saying everyone, but generally how the youth act today. So it'd probably be quite shocking. Yeah. It's quite sad when we think about it. Have you been seeing videos and reels of what's happening with the xenophobia right now? It's scary, absolutely scary.
Yeah, it is. When something is so, how can I say, it's everywhere. You can't miss it. You can't miss it. So I think where we can, we have to just pray over the situation, do what we can to support each other as a community. It's sad to see what's going on.
Yeah, and I what is like happening in our country with foreigners, etc. The principle is there, the moral is not wrong, but some people tend to take advantage of the fact that we addressing certain issues that need to be addressed. And for me, that's the sad part. And it's just sad where human beings can go further than what they actually should go, and it turns out ugly.
Sometimes it's like a bully. When you look at it, it's like a bully, where people even have papers, documents, but just because you're a foreigner, So, yeah, it's quite sad. And what's the repercussions is right now, South Africa across the world, when you look at African countries, I mean, what's going to happen long term with us? Will they welcome us? All of that we have to take in consideration. So it's like we're fighting battles at home and we're going to fight battles out of home. So as you say, we just got to pray about it.
Possible stir of the future for our children. So, yeah, we don't think of all those things.
No, exactly. It's quite depressing. A lot of friends and colleagues of mine were saying like, soccer is going on. Yeah, but we got this happening right here. Should we celebrate or should we be worried? That's the harsh reality. And sometimes I feel all of us are in our bubble and we say this will never happen to us or it doesn't affect us. But they don't realize it does. It does.
Yeah.
I saw a video of a foreign woman where just a normal South African citizen kicking her and she got a baby in her hand. So imagine now these journalists are sending these reels across the world. This is what's happening in South Africa. Just like how back in the day people thought lions walked the road. So now this is what's happening. So we just got to pray that people need to educate themselves and the whole manner of how you do it, in that way there. Jamie, do the youth today really understand what was fought for in 1976? Or it's just a public holiday vibe?
I think that it's a very good question, simply because it highlights both. I think that there are a lot of youth who do understand it, simply because how can we not acknowledge something that is our history and it is so evident? It's not even that many generations down the line. It's our parents, it's our grandparents, it's so close. But I do also feel that there are a large maybe bunch of youth that also don't really understand what we fought for, and they don't understand that this is a harsh reality. Unfortunately, because of everything that's happening in the world, a lot of people in general are very desensitized to it. At the end of the day, that was someone's reality, and what's happening today, we might not maybe directly be experiencing it to the extent that other people are, but other people are actually experiencing that. And I think that a lot of people in general, not just the youth, don't understand that. But not all, but there are people who don't.
Exactly. And, the children are sponges, regardless of their race or religion. And we always say this. And for them now, it's being normalized. If someone's not of me, my race, my people, my religion, this is what we do. It's normal. And that's what I'm saying. We're normalizing this behavior. But again, we just need to pray and hopefully people educate themselves. Why do so many of the youth today feel unheard in schools? Even today, when I look at it, they were not heard then. Now you have so much of rights. It's so difficult for an educator or even a parent to discipline, but they feel they're not heard and there's no rights.
Yes. The youth really want to be heard, but they want to be understood. They want to be given a platform to really be themselves. The truth is, it's like one thing saying, okay, yes, they do have a voice, but that doesn't mean that they're necessarily being heard out. If we give them the platform to maybe say, okay, let's just say, for example, with the school, what problems do you see? How can we improve? What do you think we can do better? It's about forming that relationship. And in a lot of ways, we don't do that with the youth. But at the same time, as I'm saying, they do definitely have a voice and they do know that they can use that. But it's one thing to acknowledge that they have a voice, but also what's being done about it. We live in a society where the idea is normalized that we voice our opinions and we voice our opinions even as adults. And do we get heard? Or is anything being done about the concerns that we are raising? And that's what's being implanted in the youth's mind, that we're going to speak, but nothing's going to be done about it. So I think that's on everybody to actually do something about it. Give them the platform, let them use their voice, but do something about it, because a lot of the time what they're saying is sense and they do have the ability to change things. It's not just about listening to them. That's what I feel it is.
True. You make sense. Michelle, when you look at it, our schools, this is a question I think the adults ask, the older adults. Are schools and tertiary preparing learners for life or just for exams?
That feels like a trick question. Simply because
think about it, right?
It's my opinion. All right, it's not a fact, because we're not here to. It's not something that you can really be factual on. But my opinion is, I think they mostly preparing them for exams, simply because there's a ripple effect, from the behaviors that a lot of the older generation see coming from the youth, and I'm hoping that there are a lot of youth listening in right now. I'm not saying that I don't agree with what Jamie's saying. The youth do need answers. They don't only want to be listened to. But remember, with rights comes responsibility. And in order for you to be taken seriously, and it's not only with the youth, with adults as well also, we need to be able to behave or conduct ourselves in a certain way. So how are you talking to your teachers? Absolutely. How are you behaving? Are you delivering on certain things that you need to deliver on? Mm-hmm. School or even university is about education. It should not be about discipline. It should not be about burning bins. It should not be about bullying and all those things. Those are not issues that schools should be stuck with. That's where you bring in life coaches, people like us, to come in and assist the schools, because so I think the ripple effect is that the teacher's also human, and some teachers may be at a point of fed up, even in the universities, because a lot of them might be feeling that they're putting in their all, and that the backlash that they're getting from the kids is they aren't being appreciated, they aren't being respected, there's all these issues. So it's almost like a ripple effect from the behavior of the children. But as I say, I'm not saying it's all children, and I'm not saying it's all teachers. But in my opinion, I think a lot of, as I say, teachers and tutors are like preparing them for the exam simply because they're tired. You do get those other ones who keep on going, a little bit more passionate, and keep on pushing and pushing and pushing. But school is not what it used to be, and we all know that. That's.
Michelle, you're saying the youth don't respect their teachers. We're generalizing. We're not saying all the youth. Yeah. But what about their parents? It's like, yo, brah, how is it, brah? Come on, bro. Messages have come on my phone that my 21-year-old son and my 16-year-old daughter call my husband and I bra. And I chatted to parents at a school meeting, and they said, that's the new language. We are the bra. For us, it's being disrespectful. Come on, my bra, Jamie, tell us what's going on.
It's like resonating. Like, I understand it, but at the same time, like, I also think that there's a line where, like, I can be like, oh, when I'm talking to someone, yes, bro, but like, I'm not gonna go call my teacher that, because I understand there's a level of respect in certain ways. I'm not just gonna go say that to a random adult. But I think that's maybe because I understand things differently, but I also do get it because I'm also like that to a certain extent. But as I said, I personally think there's a line. I would not call someone that I'm learning wisdom and knowledge from, I will not call them that.
You know, also when you look at it, Michelle, different eras, exactly, different eras had.
Sumaya, I'm saying I love how she's saying she won't call somebody that she's learning from, but they tried to call their mom bro a few times, and I almost threw a potato.
But this is the reality. And the whole idea we have Youth Frequency on Radio Ansaar is to talk the truth for learners, children, adults, the youth, parents, everybody to know, you know what, this is the reality. We're not flowering it here on radio. But again, Michelle, when you think about it, one of Jamie's counterparts explained it. There's different eras. So there's different ways of speaking or slang which is popular. So right now, as they say, calling people bra, it's lit. Jamie, it's lit. Oh, Michelle, I think we need a book where we're going to write down all the lingo, the current lingo.
Yeah, in my house, I try and keep updated with the lingo of the youth. I honestly do. But in my household, if I hear bro, if I hear all these things, I just turn a deaf ear like I didn't hear, and I continue doing what I'm doing until they come and tap me and say, excuse me, mommy.
And they don't mean it like in like a really disrespectful way, but the way we grew up, it's disrespectful.
Yeah, they don't.
You know, Jamie, what is the biggest struggle for the youth right now when you're looking at pressure, the bullying, you're looking at fees, you're looking at young married couples who are still youth, you know? We're looking at the lack of support. What is the biggest struggle for the youth right now today?
I think it's a lot of different things. First of all, it's the skills on how to handle those situations. Not only that, I think it's definitely also lack of resources. But more so, I will say, like, nobody teaches us how to handle stressful situations, regardless of what it is. Life is stressful, and we go through really crazy things. Like, school doesn't necessarily prepare us for something like that. It doesn't teach us how to deal with basic life situations in a lot of ways. And then, as I say, on top of that, lack of resources. In South Africa, for example, there's so much oh my gosh, magic, so much talent, so much gifts within the youth. But because of a lack of resources, it limits them in a lot of different ways. So I'd say that, and also just the ability to stand firm in who they are. They know who they are, but we need to also encourage them, be authentic, be who you are. Don't water down who you are. Just that firm sense in themselves will take them far, you see those gifts and that passion, being firm in that will get them further than what resources ever could. That's the truth. But resources do also help a lot.
Michelle, your, I can't say 5 cents or 2 cents, your 2 rand.
I agree with Jamie, resources, but I don't think she's being specific enough. I think, well, one of the biggest challenges that the youth are currently facing is finances. And even if they do have finances and they find a job, how is it that they manage their finances? So I think that that's a common challenge that's happening among lots of our youth. So do we go into schools now and maybe bring in more financial advisors. They can give more talks, because I'm not saying that schools are not giving sufficient knowledge in accounting or in mathematics. But what I'm saying is, when it comes to the practicality of how it is that they actually handle their money and stuff, our youth are failing dismally. Our youth many are buying vapes, many are Ubering wherever it is that they want to go. Instead of saving to do your learners and your license and then buy yourself a car, a lot of our youth, and I am generalizing, but a very large percentage are comfortable in taking Ubers, whereas where we were younger, we would rather get a lift with our parents somewhere or take a bus. And yes, I know that it's dangerous out there, etc. But I'm saying, if you change your mind, you change your life. When you have money in your hand, what are you doing with it? So that's something that I have noticed as a common challenge among most of our youth.
A message came on my phone. I love the topic, great topic. But let me tell you something. My daughter earns 12,700 Rand. The day she gets paid, she's going to a restaurant to eat with everyone for 4,000 Rand. And she's also a single mom. So this is the culture of the youth today.
There we go. Yeah.
That's wild. I know them, but I do
a large
understand that
percentage
it's a large percentage. And I agree, we aren't necessarily taught to manage our money. We really, really aren't. I think we lack that in a lot of ways.
In South Africa, when you think about it, people
basic
yeah, and not only that, policies, etc. Those are important things, education policies, etc. So if we actually start educating our kids about these things much younger, it might actually be better,
I'm missing Liam right now because I'm going to talk about social media. How much is social media helping or damaging young adults' voices in education issues?
I think it can taint it in a lot of ways, because there's a lot of information out there, and not all of it is necessarily true, or not all of it is necessarily the most productive. I can say that. So it does depend on what you're doing with the information. I think a lot of it can be very how can I say, it can persuade the youth. As I said, it can either be a good thing or a bad thing, but there's a lot of hate speech out there. There's a lot of fear mongering on the internet. There's a lot of energy like that can easily sway the youth into misunderstanding it.
Well, let's see if we can listen to the next reel. Yeah, while he's getting that reel ready. Again, I feel like being an educator, if you ask your children, probably a 12-year-old or a 13-year-old, very few of them really know what is June 16. A couple of them will tell you it's a family day. It's a day where we're celebrating our culture. But again, they don't realize what it is.
Yes,
don't. And the way we celebrate Juneteenth. I mean, I noticed for the youth development company. I've noticed that lots of companies they do similar to what they put on these big shows and circus rides and all these fun activities. Whereas I feel that is wonderful. Are we really honoring the true meaning of June the 16th when we're doing stuff like that? So I don't know if it really helps our South African youth to be able to honor that day and understand, what it's about, where we come from, and to navigate a future that will totally avoid going back to what happened in 1976. So I think sometimes we celebrate things just for the sake of celebrating it, and we lose that meaning behind what it actually means.
You're still watching Morning Live on SABC2. Remember, this is the TNA Biz Breakfast in collaboration with SABC. Today, we're actually looking back to the events of June 16, 1976, because tomorrow will be the 40th celebration, or rather the anniversary of the event. So we have the people who were directly involved during the day who are actually sharing with us their stories. But you at home can also share your memories with us by using hashtag TNA Biz Brev and, talk to us about what you remember of the events of the day. Well, Ndate Sechaba, let me just proceed to you. The question that I've been asking everyone as to what you remember of the day.
Well, I remember quite a lot about the day. But the most important thing is that June 16 for us started quite early. Because I remember very well in 1975, in November, we were at the meeting of SAZIM at DOCC. And after that meeting, we bought a copy of the Sunday Times. And the headline was quite emphatic about the fact that Afrikaans was going to be introduced in the schools in Soweto. At that time, we took it very lightly. And we never thought this is something that could fly in Johannesburg. But come January, it was quite clear that the apartheid government was intent on enforcing Afrikaans as a medium. Because Cedric de Pierre, who was the then district inspector, was moving from school to school. Probably Ntate Fanyana Mazibugo will be able to talk about his interaction with Cedric de Pierre. But fortunately, the school boards as well, they took up the matter. And the school board in Meadowlands.
Well, that is about, I'll say, 9-year-old clip. And kids who were then, the youth, much older, I think in their 70s, and they are being interviewed of what's happened, and they're going back down. And when they tell the story, there's like so much of passion and so much of like a history of South Africa. And while this was playing, I received a message. Why are everyone keeping quiet about the South African curriculum? It's changing. They want to wipe out history. Well, that's really happening. That is the truth.
That's crazy. They literally say history will repeat itself if you don't learn it. The point of us learning history in general is to not repeat it.
To avoid.
So if you're going to completely erase it, then you're setting yourself up for disaster.
Because we'll make the same mistake.
Do you know, Michelle, are parents today supported enough, or are they just also overwhelmed and stressed?
I don't think supported at all. So I think every all about the voice. What are we doing about the youth? Or it's either that or the youth are misbehaving. What are we doing about them misbehaving? And then we tend to forget that parents are human beings also. So when it's good for us, the parents are responsible for the kids. When it's not good for us, they're still responsible for their kids. So I don't. A lot of the time we feel parents aren't interested, and then when they are interested, then we say they're covering up for their kids. I don't think we support parents. We definitely need to bring in more programs. We need to bring in more support that are going to assist the parents as well. Because parents come from being youth also. Parents also come from some dysfunctional homes. They also come from toxicity. They also struggle with stress. They also struggle with, the pressure of being a parent in everyday life. So I don't think that we have enough support for parents.
Exactly. Yeah. Jamie, do parents understand what the young adults, their children, learners are going through outside the classroom and their tertiary institution?
I think that they're trying their best. Parents always try their best to understand, of course, whether it looks like it or not, just a message to the youth. But at the same time, it isn't always the easiest when you constantly speaking different languages to each other. I think that yes, everybody has different personalities, but it's about understanding that at the end of the day, the language of the child will always be child's language, and the language of the parent will always be parent language. Regardless of how old you get, that's the dynamic and the nature of the relationship. So I think that that's definitely worth taking into account. But at the same time, I think also it's about bridging that gap, and that takes two to tango. So it's not only just on the parents. There'll also come a time where the child is also needing to put into that relationship. So I do definitely think that they are trying, but it's also worth acknowledging that it's not easy, because it's like learning a language that you have no alphabet of at all. You have no way of, you have no book to teach you, and you just gotta learn it, you know.
Oh, thank you for being real and telling us, like what learners are going through, because you have to do something which it's like foreign to you. It's absolutely new. Jamie, what would the modern day student uprising look like if learners protested today? What would it look like?
Mom said
some stuff.
From when I was in school, what I witnessed was, and okay, well, I'll tell you what I witnessed, and then maybe we'll talk about the reason. What I've witnessed in my school personally, when they dealt with the matter, was the burning of the bins. All students burning of the bins, walking out of the classrooms or wanting to go into classrooms, destruction. But now we have to ask, why is that? A large amount of the youth are honestly doing it because they don't feel heard, because they feel that that is the way for them to get heard. They feel that that is the way to get attention. But also, honestly speaking, there's also a large percentage of the youth that are just doing that to be destructive, and just because they can. It's not always because they feel unheard, because there are other ways of going about it. But I also feel that that's what's being learned, and that's what's being taught. They've maybe been taught that this is the way to get heard, this is the way to get attention. And again, it's not all, but in the case where that is what's going on, but there are youth that will definitely go about it in a different way, for sure. I do believe that.
Yeah, that's so true. Michelle, going back when we were in school, okay, going further, would you say education in South Africa really changed since 1976, or just the system on paper? Has it changed? Is it gone better?
100%.
Or is it just better on paper?
No, I think everything's changed. I mean, from the time you walk into the classroom, just the whole energy, etc. The quality of the learning as well. Also, I mean, I was at school. I remember the way we learned our timetables, and then working with my kids now at the desk and looking at how they working, on the sums. It's totally different to how we learned. So yes, I think that everything about the classroom, everything about learning on paper, in the physical, the whole feel of the classroom. We do tons of work at schools, and when we go to the schools, that entire energy is totally different to how it was when we were small. Yes, we had corporal punishments, etc., but there was a sense of nurturing as well also in school. So whereas we visit lots of schools, I feel it in some classrooms and in others I don't. A lot of teachers are overwhelmed. A lot of teachers are suffering with stress and depression now, Whereas when we were at school, we saw a teacher as a role model. Now I'm seeing stress bags. I'm not sure, and it's not all teachers, but it's tough on these teachers. Yeah. Likewise, you ask me, are we supporting parents? Are we supporting teachers enough?
What am I say? Amandla.
So at the end of the day, we all human beings, and I think how passionate I am about the youth, but I try very hard to look at everybody that's involved in the scenario. So some of the things we do as well, we're not only doing programs for youth, we're doing programs for teachers, we're doing programs for parents, all those things.
But it's because the youth are becoming exactly that. That's why.
Exactly, you gotta, Otherwise, you leave loopholes, and we'll just keep on going in the circle of feeling like there's still all these unnecessary challenges. But when you start to fix and you start to nurture every single area where it needs to be nurtured, then only can we see change. But in order to do that, we
You visit schools all the time, high schools, young adults, 16, 15, 18, 19. you are experiencing what parents are not experiencing, and not everyone knows what's really going on. So you can see how things have changed. Just in general, government school, general, we just going general.
Yes.
What's the norm when it comes to disrespect? What's the common disrespect for adults?
That you're not my parent, don't tell me what to do. All right. And that is something I've sat and I've really thought about, and I've looked into a lot of situations because we coach as well also, and talking to the kids. Once you start talking to the children, it's very easy to identify that the bulk of it is coming from home and what the parents are saying. If that teacher touches you, you tell me and I will come to the school for that teacher. Nobody except your parent must tell you what to do. And then the child now is coming to school and they say, you're not my mother. You don't tell me what to do, And then that child now turns and has the same attitude on the parents. And now the parents are saying, oh, I don't know why this child is becoming so rude. It must be the company they're keeping at school, And then the teacher now has their own family and their own pressure. And the teacher now is stressed out. So whereas teaching is a calling, that teacher's now so stressed out every single day. Everybody's missing this teacher now. This teacher needs assistance. And then there's a big fight now between the parent, the child, and everybody's blaming the teacher for it. And that is common. And it's not happening in all scenarios, right? But it's happening in most of them. So at the end of the day, everybody needs love. Everybody needs attention. Everybody needs rehabilitation. Because everybody is part of this sad, fighting, toxic circle. I mean, I've sat in meetings where I've heard parents say, I tell my child to fight at school. Why? Because my child just needs to get through school, And I'm not saying that it's only parents. I've also sat in meetings I've made observations at some schools where the teachers sit and they discuss information with the pupils that they're not supposed to talk about. The teachers get into the pupils' conflicts with each other. The teachers sometimes are part of the conflict between children, and then the children go and fight outside. So it's a matter of, are we giving to every function or every person involved in this process sufficiently what they need to do well in their roles? So whereas I know that life is not perfect and we're always going to have gaps, so that's where companies like ours come in, and other companies, we should go in and support the schools and say, look, I've got a program on this for teachers, or I have a program on this for the pupils. And we all need to huddle together and we need to fix our country, because we have a very, very good country. It's just a matter of seeing the gaps and filling them with love,
Empathy is so important, and I personally feel that the youth today lack it, majority of them. There's no emotion or feelings. Jamie, if you could change one thing in South African education right now, what would it be? Afrikaans, you want to take out Afrikaans?
I said this before, but I'm going to say it again. They should teach emotional intelligence. They should teach emotional and mental regulation. Basically, what they need to do is they need to teach people about themselves. We are in this body, we are in this mind, we have these emotions. This is something that no matter where you go, no matter what you do, no matter who you are, as a human, you experience these things, and we are not taught how to deal with it. I also want to go a little bit back because you mentioned empathy. I don't think it's necessarily that the youth lacks empathy. As I said earlier, I feel that it's that we're so desensitized due to social media because of everything that they experience in the world. There's so much that's literally out there and very accessible, and it's not always necessarily the best things. So I think that makes it very hard for the youth to be empathetic with a lot of situations because of the way that they tend to look at it now, where it's through a very, not brutal, but maybe just straightforward way. A lot of the time it can come through as, not very empathetic.
Yeah, and we got a problem with that. The older adults. Michelle, what advice, you counsel the youth, you counsel young adults, you counsel children, even parents, educators, you have a hands-on on the ground what's really going on. What advice you have for the typical 17, 19-year-old right now who is not in a good space, mental space? There's so much of negative vibes. How or what can you tell them to cope? What can they do, especially with all that's happening in our country right now?
I'm going to go right back to my famous talk. and that's purpose. Everyone's born for a reason, you know. And like Jamie always says, if the people around you feel aren't listening to you, one step out of that circle, there'll be somebody else that will listen to you. So never give up. In other words, you can't just give up because of pressure. You can't just give up because of what's happening in this little circle, you know. So how I see our lives, and I explain it to the youth a lot this way. We are all in one big world, but we are all in a world of our own. So sometimes you may go home and let's just say maybe you're in a family where your parents are having constant challenges for now. So when you go home, that's another world of its own. So you've got all these challenges that you're facing, screaming, fighting, maybe you guys are having financial challenges, etc., etc., etc. So there you are in your own world with all your own issues, right? When you step out of that world, you're going into another world now, which is your school world. Now there's your teacher, and your teacher got all their challenges in their world, and everybody in that class comes from a different world, and all these worlds come together to form the big world. But within all these little worlds in this big world, right, there is always somebody who's either experienced a little bit of what you're going through in your world, all right, or may not have as much stress in their world that you have. Lean on them. So never say that you need nobody, because we all need each other at some point, whether it's to be a compliment or whether it's just a listening ear or whether just to give you a little bit of advice. You are not alone in the world. So in all these little worlds, look for that one world that can help you, because they are little worlds. They are people, you know, who have the resources, people who have that heart to help you. So don't give up. You're born for a reason. And the minute you can take whatever bad you're going through and turn it around into something positive, you become an alchemist. And then your hardships feel worth it. When you're going through hardships, it don't feel worth it. But when you can take it and you can turn it into something beautiful, then you say, I went through it for a reason. Now I can help others to avoid them going through it. And then you're a powerful human being.
Wow. You know, I think the youth may look tough on the outside, but they're also going through their challenges. Guys, I love you. I miss you all. A shout out to Liam. All the best for Sunday and everybody else who's running the comrades. Jamie, I know you guys are stressed. So you're going to be up very, very early, going all the way.
Yes.
But well, thank you guys for linking up. Hopefully next week you guys will be in studio. This is today's Youth Frequency. We connected the dots between 1976 and today, but the real question is still open. Has the struggle for equal, fair and quality education truly ended, or has it just changed the form? One thing is clear. South African youth still have voices, still have challenges, and still have something to say. The only difference is whether those voices are being heard. Until next time, stay loud, stay aware, and keep questioning what's happening in your school, in your classroom, in your neighborhood, and your future. So this is Youth Frequency, where your voices don't get filtered. As Jamie say, peace out. Assalamu alaikum.
Radio Ansaar, 24/7, 365.
That's so true what they said.
An informative Islamic global perspective.